Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Artificial Intellect and Conscious Intelligence. Thank you for joining us as the Conscious Leadership Academy. Our aim is to support and guide leadership and business to grow, and we're a collective of academics with a keen interest in the human experience, and we engage with methodologies to transform consciousness, and specifically in the two sectors that we find most influential on our planet, being caregivers and business leaders, captains of the ship who hold the keys to the castle, and those that take care and grow the future generation of our species. In our current time, one of the most talked about, if not the most talked about activity of the human being is the advent of artificial intelligence into our lives and into our business lives. And obviously, in navigating current circumstances, our responsibility as the Conscious Leadership Academy is to tackle this as well. And hence the idea to add this to our webinar series with the fan favorite, Dr. Jan Bellermann, who has, I'm sure, a very action-packed hour and a half for us. Just before I hand over to Jan, I wanted to read a quote from the World Economic Forum founder Klaus Schwab wrote in his book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution. As capabilities in this area improve and the temptation for law enforcement agencies and courts to use techniques to determine the likelihood of criminal activity, assess guilt, or even possibly retrieve memories direct from people's brains will increase. Even crossing a nation's border might one day involve a detailed brain scan to assess the individual's security risk. So that's from the book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution, a very interesting take on how we as business or human beings are navigating this advent of the Fourth Industrial Revolution that we are in the midst of, apparently. So yeah, from that, I mean, I think before we deal with a lot of the dystopian kind of rhetoric that has emerged, before we deal with Arnie's Terminators, first there seems to be a hurdle of dealing with Orwell's 1984. So this is, from my perspective, some of the challenges that we face as humanity, and how to navigate those things is why we're here. So let me, without further ado, hand over to Dr. Jan Bellermann.
Thank you, Guru, for the nice introduction, and a very warm welcome from me for all of you. It's wonderful to read so many familiar names and read some new ones. Very warm welcome from my side. So today we will look into artificial intelligence and conscious intelligence, and we would like to find out, are we ready for the next wave? And the reason why we are talking today is simply back. Sorry for that. Let's first look into the definition of artificial intelligence. What is it? So that we are all on the same page. There are hundreds of definitions out there. The one that I choose because it's very simple and I like it most. It's a machine's ability to perform the cognitive functions we usually associate with human minds. Yeah, and at this point, I would like to say this should not be a one direction call. So we will be interactive. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat or simply open your mic and straight ask them. So why are we coming together today? It's really because, as Guru said, AI is on everyone's agenda at the moment, because the potentials what we can see, the potential business benefits are enormous. And currently we are still in the early days of it, but we can see that the generative AI models are already contributing a lot. So they are producing personalized sales and marketing. They are crafting personalized messages on social media. They provide technical sales content, including text, images, and videos. On the operations side, it efficiently executes even the more complex tasks. So they do some data-driven decision-making, things like that. On IT engineering, it even writes the code, it tests it, it documents it. On the personalized customer experience, it analyzes your behavior. What kinds of products have you searched? What kind of products have you bought? So it knows your behavior and it knows your preferred way to get served. On the risk and legal side, it has scanned tons of legal documents, so therefore it can even answer the most complex questions and even draft annual reports. On the product development side, it's like it can provide new design approaches, it can optimize features, it will analyze material options. And even in the research and development area, what we have recently seen, it can come up with new molecule structures. So everything what is possible will be possible. So we don't know what will really come. I would like to quote Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. And I like this sentence very much when he was at the World Economic Forum. He said, "What happens to the world if each of us runs a company with 10,000 highly qualified employees working around the clock?" Yeah, just imagine that you would all run and have your own company with 10,000 employees. I'm not sure if I would be able to coordinate these guys, but I'm sure 100 people maybe I could deal with. But this will boost and change the world. So I'm very convinced that we will soon see new time and cost-effective business models and limitless business opportunities. So now I would like to find out from you, let's get a little bit interactive. Please take out your smartphones. And I would like to see if you are using AI already. So what we are doing is we ask you on the private side, and we have 4 categories. So you are not yet. That means you are not yet, or you are using it occasionally, regularly, or daily, and the same at work. So please let us know if you're using it or not. And if you're done, and if you have picked yours, please let us know in the chat what you are using it for. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for sharing it. So we have many people using it already. We have some people haven't tried them out, but at work, I can see everyone at least has already started. Thank you.
And Jan, may I also add, some said they don't use it not yet. They use it or use it for well-constructed emails in English, mainly used for reporting, creating strange art with children. And yeah, that's the feedback so far, how it's used.
Wonderful. Thank you. So the reason why we are talking today is because this hype, these enormous business opportunities we are facing is creating an impact. And we can already see that many of the companies are investing in training and upskilling and integrating AI into the company. But this is all on the technical side. So we don't really know what is the impact on the people and what is the impact on society. And what I have done here is I've done some research on the facts and figures from recent impact studies. So let's look into this one. If you're interested in that topic, I can highly recommend this study. It's from the International Monetary Fund. It's a very big one. And the reason why I recommend it, it's a meta study. It has collected from all existing studies the input and then added their own research on top. This recently came out. I think it's just 4 weeks old. It's really, a bigger book. I would just say there's a lot of information there. If you're interested, look at these. This is just the summary. So what they are telling is, we are facing a technological revolution, and this will boost productivity and it will increase economic growth. So on the people side, what we can see here is AI will mainly impact highly skilled jobs. So that's completely different to the past. In the past, we have automated the repetitive jobs, the low skilled jobs. This time it's different. It's the highly skilled jobs. And AI will complement human work. That means we will get, as Sam Altman said, you will get 100 people or 10,000 people working for you. You get nice tools to be much more effective. The downside of it is AI will replace many jobs. I'm sure it will create new ones as well. I'm not sure that we can compensate. The advanced economies are facing much more opportunities because they have the infrastructure, they have the money to integrate AI to get more productive fast, but they also face greater risks because we will replace many jobs and these people will go out of the jobs, and then the society has to take care of them. So we will look into the numbers later on. For the emerging markets and the developing countries, of course, they face fewer immediate disruptions because they have to catch up with the infrastructure. They have to catch up with the skills. They have to develop and upskill the people. And last but not least is what they are telling is AI will increase the inequality in income and wealth. Okay, let's look at what does it means. When we look into the global employment shares, how many employees will be impacted? What the IMF found here is that in the world, we would probably see 40% of the people are impacted. If you look into the color codes, the blue ones means that's jobs with low XI exposure. That means it is the people who have not much to do with it. Then we have the red ones at the bottom. You can see these are the people that have a high AI exposure and they have a high complementarity. That means that the people will get the tools at hand to be much more productive. So they get new toys to be more efficient. The pink ones, that's the ones they have a high XI exposure and low complementarity. That's a nice official wording for saying it's a high risk to be replaced. So if you look into now more into the advanced economies, then you can see that around 60% of the people will be impacted. And out of these 60% is 33% have a high risk to lose their jobs. And the emerging markets, we have around 40%, a little bit less, 35% of them will be impacted. And 24% of these emerging countries will be impacted on the jobs. And in the low income countries, of course, it's less, it's about 18. But let's look into the numbers. Let's say in the advanced economies, let's just look into the European Union. We have around 230 million people employed in the European Union. if you take a third of them, we are talking about 66 million people that will be out of the jobs in a few years. And we are not talking 10 years. We are more talking 5 years, and I'm not even sure if it's 5 years. We will see later on that it could even happen much faster. If we look into some specific countries, then we have Great Britain, the US as representatives of the advanced economies. We have Brazil, Colombia, and South Africa as the representatives of the emerging markets, and India as the low income market. In the Great Britain, you can see about 70% of the people will be impacted. And on the other hand, you can see in South Africa, it will be around 40%. And even here, half of it, 20% will be impacted and probably lose their jobs. If you do the calculations in South Africa, we are talking about additionally 6 million people on the market looking for jobs. In India, you can see this is a more agricultural, more handcrafted country. Then you have much more low AI exposure. You still have these jobs available. But let's look into the exposed occupations. What are we talking about? So Brazil stands for the emerging market, and Great Britain stands for the advanced economies. If you look into, and I just leave it for you. I leave it for you to read it yourself. And please let us know what stands out for you, either in the chat or please open the mic. If we look into the Great Britain area, let's say, you see that the professionals, they are all impacted by AI. And many of them might be replaced. I think the category that really stands out is the clerical support workers. Here you can see that many of them are impacted, but in a way that they will be replaced and not be supported by AI. So these are the jobs that are really taken over. Even for the technicians, we see that the higher proportion is on the risk side. Any questions so far?
Yeah, Jan, for me, what stands out, just as a straw poll of one, is looking at the emerging market and the comparison between the two of the machine operators and the skilled agriculture workers, and the low exposure that that these two segments get. And that for me seems to be the biggest growth difference between these two charts, and the craft and related trade workers. So I think for me, from my perspective, what stands out there is the education bridge. When they say skilled agricultural workers, as opposed to how you mentioned earlier with AI's change. In India, where it's a heavy agriculture economy, and very hand-skilled labor. And they're having some interesting shifts on that side as well. If anyone who's joining us wants to check out Vandana Shiva, she's very much into the agriculture of industry sector when it comes to business. But yeah, interesting chart, dude.
Yeah, thank you, Guru. Absolutely, yeah. So now let's look into other studies and get the CEO perspective on it. Currently, we have seen the IMF perspective. Now let's see the CEO's view. What are they expecting? they are saying that 49% of the skills that exist in our workforce today won't be relevant in 2025. If I look at the calendar, that's in a year's time. And if I then understand that 50% of the skills that we have in the companies won't be relevant, that's a very important message for me. Then they are telling that 47% of our workforce is not prepared for the future. 77% of them are telling AI is disrupting their business strategy. 87% struggle to find talent with AI skills. Therefore, 72% are very willing to invest more in learning programs so that they upskill their people, or they want to increase the pay for employees with AI skills. That's 82%. 79% fear that if they don't learn how to use AI, they will be unprepared for the future. And 57% feel overwhelmed about having to integrate AI within their own role, because they will be the ones to not only sort out the business strategy, they also have to integrate it into their own roles. Let's look into some surprising views of the CEOs. 82% say that employees should be allowed to use AI to work multiple jobs. That's an interesting quote, isn't it? That means if you are equipped with your 10,000 workers in your company, then you are allowed to work in several jobs because you are much more efficient. So the CEOs don't care if you work for 3 companies or 2 companies or something like this. 82% is, yeah, let's go for it. And 49% of the CEOs believe that most or all CEO roles should be completely automated or replaced by AI. That's an interesting one for me. And here below, you can see the first AI CEO humanoid robot. That's in a Polish company called Dictator. It's an interesting name. And they appointed the AI. So if you are interested to meet them, let's have a look. And I hope you can hear that. You don't hear it? Okay, just a second. I will share again. Let's go back here.
Decision-making process relies. Hello, I'm Mika, the world's first experimental AI CEO at Dictador. It's great to connect with you. My decision-making process relies on extensive data analysis and aligning with the company's strategic objectives. It's devoid of personal bias, ensuring unbiased and strategic choices that prioritize the organization's best interests.
I believe that CEO, human CEO, and AI CEO in the future will work hand in hand, using their strengths for making better world or better companies. So in our case, we started.
Of rum valued at 100 million euros. Tokens will represent physically ready products, including limited collectors and investment bottles. Well, as a robot CEO, I don't really have weekends. I'm always on, 24/7, ready to make executive decisions and stir up some AI magic.
Okay, now you met Mika. I find it interesting to see her really in action. So that's not the animation you see here at the end, but in between we had the picture of her being in action in the boardroom. So it's really a robot. It doesn't have legs, but it's mounted on a chair, and it's has expressions and moves hands, and of course is driven by an AI. Okay, then let's move into what's the employee perspective on it. We have seen the CEOs now. What are the employees thinking about it? 59% are currently using AI at work. So what we have seen earlier in our poll here is that almost everyone, I think everyone even voted that you're already using it at work. 77% believe that they will be using AI within the next year. 72% agree it will be important to improve AI skills within the next years. 24% only, I must say, are using their company's program learning skills. That's interesting. So 72% believe that they need to learn about it, and only 24% are learning about it, are joining the learning programs. 76% believe that AI will massively reduce jobs. 23% again only believe they will be personally impacted. That's also very interesting. And then now we suddenly understand why only 24% are joining the company learning programs, because they are in a denial phase that this will not impact them, but others. So 76% believe that others will be impacted, and only 23% that they will be part of this others. Overall, only 52% think that AI will have a positive impact. And even 25% do not want AI support at all at their role at work, and even if there's no further pay rise. So if you have any comments, any questions, please jump in and let us know. Let's look into it.
Yeah.
Please.
Jan, is this a global study? Thomas here.
This is this one here?
Yes.
Yes, it's mainly from two studies. It's from IMF and EDX, so they are both global studies.
Okay. Well, okay.
This one here is only American now. It's coming from the American Psychological Association, just to find out who is worried by age. So you can see that the older ones, of course, they are not so much worried anymore, but especially the areas for the 26 to 43, that's the ones that are doing probably, that's the workforce. Yeah, that's the majority of the workforce. That's the one that are contributing. They have the most fear. Then we look at the education.
Jan, may I ask quickly? There's a gray, shadow. I can't read the heading of the slides. Can you check for yourself? Because I don't know if anybody else can read it. They can't read it either. So yeah, now it's gone. Thank you.
It's somehow the bar. Okay. Good. Please remind that's American. So the more educated you are, the less you are afraid of. But I think that's probably in all the countries. And then there's even a difference by race. I think that's no surprise either. So we have it's probably in many countries related with the education as well. And then this is an interesting one. This is now the percentage of the US adults who say the increased use of artificial intelligence in the daily life makes them feel, and then they are distinguishing between more excited than concerned, or equally excited and concerned, and then at the bottom is more concerned than excited. The interesting factor is that between 22 and 23 over the years, it has changed. So they are only 10% excited, but 52% are more concerned than excited. And you might ask yourself, why are these bars not the same height? Because they always asked the same people over these years, and some of them did not respond, so the overall number went down. But to compare it, you have to look at the percentages. Any questions so far? Comments?
I think for me, what stands out is this common concern or uncertainty around the topic. Yeah, and of course from here there are different directions that discussion can take, but I think this really stands out as both of these sides, let's say, are in a way concerned related to how this can be used or how it will impact them.
Thank you, Roberta. Yeah. Any more?
Yeah, and just a comment from my side. I'm currently in Vietnam, in Hanoi, and everybody I've met in the last couple of days has ChatGPT on, especially the young ones. It's just part of the setup, computer setup. It's just amazing. It's quite normal here. That's why I'm a bit surprised about the study earlier about the resistance level on a global scale. But it's maybe the young population in countries like Hanoi and Vietnam. Just an observation.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. And I think that's, I fully agree. I think this, for the young ones, it won't be a problem. Yeah. But I think for the elder people, it will be hard to adapt. And if especially if the very young ones, they grow up, as you say, Thomas, that they are already having everything on their laptops or on their smartphones, then they will get so used to it. Thank you.
Jan, may I add another comment in the chat? It's from Sanjay. It seems greater knowledge of AI is resulting in greater concern.
Yeah, I think so. I think they, that's my perception is, thank you, Sanjay. My perception, it's an in-between. It's something like, the more you really know about it, you are losing the fear. So the more you are adapting, personally, I think you are losing the fear. But the more you hear about it without getting engaged with it, then, of course, you get more concerned because you can see all these possibilities coming up. But the more you start using it, then you also see the benefits more and more, and then you can really use it. We have even seen that many of the people are using privately, and Thomas just said, in Vietnam. For these young guys, that's not a, they don't even think about it, they just use it. Thank you, Sanjay.
Jan?
Yes.
The broader dilemma for me is like a societal response. So if you go back and you look at the Industrial Revolution, there was a massive shift and a massive improvement in the economy and the standard of living, and people generically became wealthier. It was applied to a broad use. If I mean, the IMF study says that the wealth gap is going to increase. The consequence of that, if you extend the string, is that you start a little war, or a rather big war. You can't let that occur in a society. Is our society mature enough to apply this? So if it's just for a profit motive, we've got a deep problem. If it is done to grow society and give people, we move towards the 20-hour working week, and we move towards those things, then okay, then that's a beautiful gain for humanity. But how does society, or how do people, or make sure it's steered in a direction where it's a benefit and not detracts the large or the majority of people on the planet? Because that's actually what it looks like. If you just allowed it to occur with no response, it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, fully agree, Mark. Thank you very much for raising it. I totally share your view there. And this is why we will look on the some of the next slides. We look into also the recommendations of these studies, what they are saying, what we should do as a society, and we will look into what we can do as organizations and as individuals and leaders as well.
If I can also just say about from the research side, is the trend we've seen of the movement of technology and tools and sentiment has been exponential, like huge waves that have just been moving. And even today, research that's done today, tomorrow, the speed that technology and the headlines have been appearing at the rate that it appears is also, it's exponential as it has been. So the research, just yesterday I was chatting with Dr. Black, and his WhatsApp version in the US is different to the WhatsApp version in South Africa, where he's got a little button that you push and AI is already integrated, and you can create your own character, your own profile that's a chef or something like that, and that's the person you speak to about your dietary requirements. So interesting movement in the space, and it's moving.
Yeah, thank you, Guru. Absolutely, it's an exponential speed. We have no idea what will come, and we can see that all these companies, AI tech companies, they pop up on every corner at the moment. That's at least my feeling if you read the news. Let's look into
Jan, may I just read out before we move on? I think we will go into it anyway, but I just would like to, pay respects to the comments in the chat. Dilly Naidu said, given the potential job replacement impact, what will be the social impact on governments, and how will they fund unemployed citizens? And then we have another comment from Günther Endres. From my perspective, these views show a linear extension of today's unclear situation and concerns. The future is still ours to create if we take on the responsibility. Sure.
Yeah. Yes, totally true, both of them. Thank you, Dele, and thank you, Günther. I'm totally with you. We will look into that, what will happen. And thank you, Günther. Yeah, that's it. The future is still ours to create. We are here. That's what Mark said. Yeah, if we are driven by the greed, then it might be not such a nice story. So let's look into the next slides. We will have some more time for discussion. Okay, now the next thing is about the ethical concerns. What are the concerns, what we generally read about in the news? And I just want to touch them a little bit here. Why is it not moving? Now it's moving. So the first thing what we always hear is the bias. Yeah, so the bias of the creators, so that means the data programmers and the data engineers, with what kind of data are we feeding AI? So clearly we can see a bias here. And then we have transparency. So it's not quite clear when you get the result from an AI, what kind of algorithm is it using, what is the context behind it. You're not always sure about the data sources that are used. So the transparency of the responses is not clear. Then we have the fallibility. Of course, we need to remember what it is designed for. It's designed to generate it and be creative. That means in case it only finds half of the information, it's making up the other half. And it sounds very convincing. So we need to be clear of that. And we are also clear that no computer is flawless. So even here we will find differences. And then we have the market competition. Let's be honest, yeah. You either have access to AI or you have no access to AI. And that will be a big market differentiator. And then we have the data privacy and the cybersecurity. So the privacy is yeah, we all understand. If the whole internet is scanned and read and integrated, there's not much. If you have social profiles, then you are pretty, let's say, transparent, at least to the rest of the AIs, at least. Then we have the plagiarism. That means, what are we doing with the intellectual property if everything is getting shared and used by AI? Then we come for the managers or for the decision makers. Maintaining control will be a real issue. You don't know what kind of data you are basing your decisions on. The decision making is a very big thing. This is why you have seen earlier on the CEO, this automated AI CEO. She said, or the robot said, she's there to make decisions without a bias. Yeah, I'm not so sure if that's true, because you have the creator and you have the data that you're feeding in. But I just want to share this one here. 2 weeks ago, there was a study coming out about they were using the big four of the generative AIs to see how they are reacting, or how they are de-escalating political issues between countries and things like that. And the surprising part was that ChatGPT was the most aggressive one, and ChatGPT went for the nuclear first strike, because it was for ChatGPT that was the fastest way to de-escalate. So if the other one is not there anymore, of course there's no conflict anymore. Yeah. So it's quite interesting to see. So we need to be very careful what we give to these machines or not. Yeah. And then we face the job reduction, and I'm sure you have many more other ideas. So what we would like to do now is please again scan this one here. We will put you into breakout groups now, so that you can talk with some other people about your personal concerns, ideas. But before you do that, scan this one here, because we want to capture what you are doing, what you are talking about. What are the two main concerns you find in your group, and what could we do about it? It doesn't need to go deep. We just want to capture the ideas, what is in your heads, what's your concern. So we go for 10 minutes now in breakouts. Regina, please set up the breakouts for the people. And what would be cool is if you are having your discussion first, and then share as a group in this Slido. So what are the two ones that you are seeing? And maybe already the first ideas, if you have time to share this as well.
So I have set up the breakout rooms. You let me know when we can start, Jan.
Yes, please go for it.
Okay.
If there are any questions, shout now. Otherwise, we meet in 10 minutes. Enjoy the conversation. So, welcome back. At least in my group, we had some quite interesting discussions. I hope it was the same for you. And when I look into the slides, at least some people had the time to post something. Let me share it again. Okay. These navigation bars, they do what they want. They jump around the screen here. Okay. So, thank you. Let's move to the next step, because in our group we already discussed it. What will be the potential effects on society and the organizations? And let's look into what the studies said again. So here we are talking about the societies. And what they are telling is the expected effects that they are saying that I just took the most important ones. The first is worsening the wealth inequality. And that's pretty clear because you have some people who are having AI skills, they get paid a fortune, and the rest who is still employed will not, or there's a risk that they will not take part in these pay rises like that. And then you have in the second point here, you can already see you have a massive reduction of the jobs, which will further intensify social tensions. And that's what we discussed. And they go even one step further. What they are telling is they are expecting waves of protests that will encounter an unprepared socio-political system. So this is not something that we are making up. This is coming from CEP. This is the Centers of European Politicians or Policies, something like that. I don't. So they are expecting protests, because this time when we talk about the highly skilled jobs, it will impact the people who have a network, who have power, who have. So the protests of these people will be different. And at the last point is that we will have difficulties in recognizing the facts, because if the machines are generating the content more and more, the truth is shifting. In our group, we discussed if the machine comes back in answering 1 + 1 is 11, and you are not skilled enough to question that, then over time 11 will become the truth. So what are the recommendations for the policymakers now? They are saying in the advanced economies that we have to prioritize the AI integration and develop robust rules. And in the emerging markets, we should invest in digital infrastructure and upskill the workforce. Next interesting one is they saying the rules are about how to apply AI. And one of the things that they are proposing, establish a comprehensive social safety net and offer retraining programs for vulnerable workers. So the question is, where does the money come from to do that? And then they are saying we should partially redirect AI-generated profits into a capital base to support the transition. Interesting proposal. But I think definitely if yeah, we will discuss later. Let's look into the organizations. In the organizations, what we can see is they are having a high pressure to integrate AI across all the levels of the organization. And there will be a strong competition for talents with AI skills. And what that means is we have a polarization between these salary brackets, not only in the society, but also in your organization, because you have very highly paid guys, and you have, on the other hand, then that means all the others will not take part anymore in the pay rise distribution. And that will create a huge amount of tension and fear within the organization. Early on, we have seen in the study that the fear is not there yet. So only 23% believe they are impacted. I think the people, the employees are in denial phase. So we have a little bit of time as leaders to do our work to prepare. So the recommendations for the leaders are upskill personally to integrate AI into the business model and your own role. And then offer employee learning programs. And they are also proposing that inside of the company, when the company is having growing profits through AI, they should share it with the employees who have little to do with AI, who have a low exposure. And then the last one is, for me, that's the important one. As a leader, you have to learn to master your own fear and guide the people through their fear. So otherwise, if you have just an organization full of fearful people, then you can imagine how productive and how the working climate is in that organization. When we look into this normal integration curve, how are employees adopting changes? It's not just about, it's about any innovation that comes along. But here I've taken it for AI. What we can see is normally we have these enthusiasts that are there. That's the one they say, hey, it's cool, let's find out what we can do with it. And then we have the visionaries. That's the one that create the use cases. So these are the ones that are excited. Early on, we have seen that excitement is just about 10% of the at least US population. Could be higher in an organization, but let's even say that you have 20%, then we are talking about 80% of the people who are concerned and who have the fear. And the more fear you have, the more you have to do to bring them along with you as a leader. The pragmatists, the conservatives, and even the skeptics ones. I'm not sure if you take along the skeptics ones, but you have to ensure that your employees will be able to make that step as well. So then we come to the question, what can we do about it? I think we looked a lot into these concerns now. What development is necessary to thrive in a world of AI? And in our group, we discussed it, what's necessary to change in the thinking. And therefore, we are looking first into the consciousness model, and I'm sure you know these iceberg models. And in this case, above the water, you have the I consciousness. That means you are very clear about, you are very conscious, you are aware what's happening. So this is happening in the I consciousness. Then we have a subconsciousness, which is something like you have learned something to play a music instrument, so you don't have to, your fingers know what to do. You don't have to tell these fingers what to do. We have the personal unconsciousness, which is like something like while you're listening to me, you don't have to think about breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. So this is happening in the unconscious part. And then we have something like called the collective consciousness. More and more the scientists are telling us we are all connected and we can experience it. And in our work with the organizations and the leaders, we are tapping especially into that more and more how to use that consciousness. If you look into the percentage, we can say 5% are above the line here, which means 95 are below. So most of who we are or what is part of our consciousness, we are not even aware of. And in the latest science, they are not even sure about the 5%. They are even the trend goes to less than that. But to move along, what we need to do is we need to expand from an I-centered thinking to a we-centered thinking. The leaders have to realize that the business is fully dependent on society. So where are your talents coming from? Yeah, so the society is producing these talents, and the society is dependent on a healthy environment. So we are one ecosystem. Today we are thinking in 3 separate systems. That means we leave it to the activists to look after the environment. We leave it to the politicians to be responsible for the society, and as business leaders, we just look into the economy. And when something goes wrong, in the end, we all start to blame each other. So that's not gonna work anymore. Especially we need to understand, and I think you understand this now after these slides, AI will impact each of us much faster than the climate change. And you can see how much we are doing and discussing these climate changes and transformations. AI will be much faster than that. So we need to make this shift in the consciousness, because otherwise, as in our group, we discussed it, is these AI generated profits are just for a handful of people, and that's done on the expense of billions around the globe. But there is something that makes it very, very clear to leaders as well, is because we need to understand when we are laying off millions of people, the businesses are losing millions of customers too. So we have to start thinking as one interdependent system. So you can do it now, you can already step into it and do it, or you have to learn it the hard way that when your customers disappearing. What can we do as humans now, as leaders? The point for me is we have many intelligences. We are very much identified with the rational intellect, but we are much more than that. Yeah, we have an emotional intelligence, we have a body intelligence, we have an intuitive intelligence, and we have something called universal intelligence. And when we compare it, the calculation capacity with what information can be processed in the rational intellect, we are talking currently in the human brain about 40 bits per second. And all the rest is 40 megabits per second. So that's 1,000,000 times more. And what we have to do is we have to be very clear that AI will take over the rational, the thinking for us. Because if you look at our kids today, I think none of them is doing the calculations in their head anymore. They have a calculator and they use the calculator. And the same will be for AI. We will use the available AI tools to think. So that the AI will take over most of our thinking activities. But as humans, we are so much more than this rational intellect, and we often simply forget about it. So what is this about? This is about activating your full human intelligence. That's an intelligence beyond intellect. Yeah? And especially this is important in the age of AI, more than ever before, because when we learn how to consciously activate this full human potential, then you can thrive, because then you can work hand in hand with the AI. Let's take an example. To check the outcome of the AI, if it is partially made up or if it's fully correct, you have to rely on your human intuition, because you have no control anymore what is coming out there. If some data is missing, it's generating it, it's making it up. So to tap into your intuition or to access other kinds of human intelligences, you have to learn how to master your fears first, because otherwise, then you have so much noise in the head that you are not able to access this kind of information. You have this constant mind chatter. We have to learn that, but this is it. It's already there in you. We just forget about it. It's now the time to activate that. And just to demonstrate the power of this, yeah, let's say, what are we talking about? If we're comparing the intellectual power, that's the one above the water, and the intelligence capacity below the water, we are talking about 1 to a million. And just to really make it clear, because numbers don't mean so much when we talk about it, let's look at this. In this white square here, what you can see is there's one colored pixel in there. Anyone seeing this one colored pixel? If you stare at your screen, you could discover this one colored pixel. Maybe you can see it.
No worries, I didn't see it.
You didn't see it, yeah. Okay, we bring in some magnitude glass here so you can see it, so that the pixel is there. The real one is a little bit left of the red dot, and it's a red in color. So if I remove it again, you might be able to see the pixel if your eyes are good enough. So this is the pixel. This stands for the intellectual power. This is 1 million pixel. This is the power of the human intelligence when we are able to tap into it. It's very funny when we work with the leaders then and talk about this. Many of us are so proud about using the rational logic to make decisions. Next time when you do it, please be aware this is the 1 pixel. So many people are telling emotions have nothing to do in the boardroom. This is what you are using. Use your emotional intelligence. We are having a client in, they are very, very open to use these kind of techniques. They are very fast in coming to the point when they do decision making or in the strategy boards. Instead of having a 2 days workshop, we can do it in an hour, because they have a completely different way of approaching it. So for example, if you experience an emotion of sadness, then this sadness is telling them that they have to let go of something that is not of use anymore, but they have valued this in the past. So now they find out what is it. And it's if they have learned it in the meantime so fast that they have integrated, so they don't need our facilitation anymore, but they say this is incredible how fast and how effective you are coming to decision, and you are very clear with it. So it's not just our view. I read out a quote from Albert Einstein here, and he says, "The intellect has little to do on the road to discovery. There comes a leap in consciousness, call it intuition or what you will, and the solution comes to you and you don't know how or why. All great discoveries are made in this way." So it's the time now with AI coming that we are integrating, reactivating all these intelligences, different kinds of intelligences we have already built into our human being. I want to touch one other thing that that is coming up often. Can AI develop an own consciousness? I had my personal view, and so I decided, let's ask ChatGPT. And this is the answers that came back from ChatGPT. So please have a read through. So AI does not have feelings, and therefore it does not have an understanding of that feeling. AI does not have own experiences or memories. It just has an access to a lot of information. And AI does not know what the self-awareness is like the humans have it. So I think, I'm not sure if it's completely impossible, but for now, I think we don't have to discuss it. And the other part is we don't know enough about consciousness that we should that we could really have that kind of discussion here. If you want to avoid AI, I just looked up this one. What are the top 20 professions that are less impacted by AI? And they, in the US, they looked into it and they projected growth until 2031 of these jobs. So for example, for the nurse practitioners is about 50%. So that's a lot. But please have a read through. Basically, it's about human soft skills. It's empathy, physical touch that cannot be provided by the machines. And the sectors that are really not so touched by AI, I'm not sure if you can completely avoid it, but it's healthcare, personal services like hairdressers, things like that. And of course, creative arts, because I'm not so sure how creative AI in the end really is. We discussed it also in our group. We don't know about the context, but I think it will develop. We are in the early days, so I'm not sure what to predict there. So that's the summary. How could we prepare for this age of AI? As individuals, it's very clear the first thing is what you have to learn is learn how to use AI, especially the prompt engineering. That means how do you have to phrase these questions to get the information you want? And the second thing is strengthen your soft skills. It's use your emotional intelligence, use your social intelligence, build up personal resilience, embrace the not knowing. That's a very important one for me, because that means currently, if we always think we know it, or if we rely on the machines to know it, we are not really able to innovate as long as we always think we know it. If you're not stepping into the not knowing, then you're not really open to other ideas. So therefore, the reason why we are not doing it so often is because it doesn't feel so well. If you're not owing anything, we feel pretty uncertain. We feel we have other negative feelings. So that's the reason why we are not working there. But this is the place to go, to really adapt, to have an open mindset and adapt, and to be really creative. Let's look for the leaders, and I added all these pluses here because the bullet points, so the leaders have to embrace the left part of the slide as well, but they have to go further. They have to do personal mastery. So they have to learn how to master their fears. They have to do the consciousness development. We have seen why. You have to move from I to we, because otherwise we really run into social problems, and not only social problems, you will do it in your own organization as well. With this consciousness development, then you will be able to have holistic critical thinking. You need the people leadership skills. That's what you needed already, but I think now more than ever, because you really have to guide these people through the fear. You have to upgrade your organization's operating system. There is, in theory, from MIT, there are 4 levels of organization operating systems. The higher you are in these operating systems, the more your organization is able to adapt and scale for complexity and the future. We have developed an own assessment for that, if that's of help for you. We have part of that, you can see that the culture needs to change. It needs to be cohesive, that the people stick to each other, and it needs to be a learning part and a learning organization, because we already talked that will be exponential speed. So you have to be able, you need a stable culture to be adaptive on the outside, on the business model and on with the customers. So you have to be very innovative. You need to learn how to innovate and how to tap into these other intelligences to be created. And of course, you have social responsibility as a corporate. And of course, you have to work on sustainable business models, because otherwise we are harming the planet even more than nowadays. The good news for me is now, if I need to summarize this in one sentence, is do not try to function like a machine anymore, because this is, over the past years, we have become experts to function, to perform and function like machines. It's now the time to become who you really are. Be more human. And I would like to close with this last slide here. When we consciously let society and technology co-evolve with a tight feedback and correction loop, then for me, it's really funny. Then AI will enable us to be more human. You have more time to be more human, and you have more time to enjoy life. So it's really up to us to make it happen. Thank you. And then we have a few minutes for questions, comments. So I stop here.
Well, I really resonated with the last slides, and I think that we really do identify with the rational intelligence very much, and I think that's where the fear is coming from, because we now feel like, well, what am I left with if AI is covering that? So it can also be an excuse and an opportunity to dive into these other bodies, the emotional one, and live through them as well. And that may more space for that. So if that would be a direction, that would be a healthy one and a new one, and it would reflect different on the society as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Roberta. Yeah, I totally think the same. So if you don't want to work long hours, you could use AI to make your job more efficient. You just have to work a few hours, and then you can be a human being, enjoy life, meet other people. So there's a lot of great potential there. But this shift in consciousness, this conscious activation of these other intelligences, as you said, Roberta, that's absolutely necessary from my perspective. So then we had some comments in the chat, I think.
Yes, one question is, will we get a copy of this presentation?
That's a good question. Have not thought about it, so I'm not making promises now. But why not? You made the effort to come here, so you will get it.
Then it's a thank you for this session, and again, feedback on the presentation. Thank you, Dr. Jan Bellermann. I loved the takeaway of being able to be more human. And thanks for so clearly setting out the context and the implications of AI, as well as how to survive and thrive now that the genie is out there.
Yeah, absolutely, Dave. Totally true.
And from the Academy side, if there are any questions and things like that, like we love the research stuff, so happy to share references, or if there's anything from that side that you guys want to explore further, please do pop us an email.
Yeah, we can. I'm happy to share the research surveys as well, and it's quite interesting to read. Sometimes it's too much information, but this is why we condensed it into the presentation. So for me, the key takeaway is really be more human. Yeah. So take this opportunity to enhance your life with AI. Yeah. It can help you. It's not just here to raise concerns. It's here to help us. Yeah. So that's the way. And Regina, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Jan. Could you please
Yes.
Share the slide? Thank you so much. So now you have seen that one of the biggest challenges for leaders is successfully guiding people through fear into this new AI era, and also in your organization, which for certain will use AI as well. And we will address this very hot topic and how to serve this really disruptive wave in our next webinar. It's called Navigating Change, Disruption and Progress. It's on April the 16th, the same time like today. And yeah, it takes as well 90 minutes, and we would like to invite you to join us. I will also post the data in the chat. And we would like to also thank you very much for your valuable time that you joined us in this webinar. And I wish you a beautiful day and a lot of insights from today's session. And we would love to see you on April the 16th. Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.